and welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus on the road. Once again, I am on my way back from Pierre, South Dakota, being at the South Dakota Cattlemen's Association meeting. Great week down there. Week of policy interaction with producers from all across the state of South Dakota, as well as others who are involved in the beef industry. And really enjoyed the opportunity to visit with national president from the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, Mark Isley. He's from just not far from Cheyenne, Wyoming. Had a chance to visit with him about his operation, and I'm sure we'll have Mark in to visit one day down the road as well. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Dean is gone, so I'm kind of your fill-in meteorologist too. So for those of you who are wondering, in case you haven't stepped outside yet, it is dangerously cold. Morning temperatures have been about a low of -10, hoping to get to 0 today. I'm close to Bismarck right now. It's about 5 degrees. It's a heat wave, and the sun came out. It's awesome. Winds will be out of the northwest today and blowing at about 5 to 15. They will shift over to the southeast by evening. The sun is out, and that's probably the first time in a while. So take in the sunshine while you can. It makes things feel a little bit better, but let's face it, it's still wickedly cold outside. So when you're heading out, bundle up, especially if you have little ones. Let's not forget mittens and shoes and heavy socks because it's going to be breezy. Addison, our sound engineer, is having a little fun on the live stream today. He just named chief meteorologist while Dean's gone, and I bet he's going to change it to a variety of other titles throughout the day. So I can't hardly wait for those. If you are following along on the live streams, again, those are on YouTube, Facebook, and Acres TV. So feel free to watch there. If you have questions or comments, you can email me today, ag@flagfamily.com. With Dean being gone, I have a fill-in host, but it's not a meteorologist. In fact, it's my friend, Kate Maher. Kate, how are you today?
I am good, Bridget. Yes, please don't ask me about any weather reports because all I'll do is look out my window and that will do your listeners no good where they're listening from, probably.
All right, Kate, where are you at today?
I am in the nice, quaint little town of Albee, Virginia, which is in Northern Virginia, just outside Middleburg. While it's Northern Virginia, a lot of people say that it's the DC area. I am glad to report that I can see no part of DC from my windows or house. All I can see are pastures and cows, which is always good with me. I think that's the most important thing to know about me is I love cows. So if I can see cows every day, I'm a happy person.
All right, so I think it's fortuitous that you're helping me out today as I return from a cattlemen's convention. And as you said, you love cows. So a big question there is, any particular cows? What's your background in cattle?
Well, I did not grow up in the cattle business. I always tell people I'm a 4-H project gone horribly awry. I had, I really am. I had my 4-H project was my mutt dog that my mom adopted when I was a year old, and we had just moved in to a house in Castle Rock, Colorado. We moved from Fort Morgan, Colorado, where I was born, to Castle Rock, Colorado, and she adopted this dog. We moved to Castle Rock, Colorado, it was a small little town between Denver and Colorado Springs. Now it's a connector between the urban corridor of I-25. Anyway, we were
Okay.
on the outskirts of town, and where the new building was happening, and this dog wanders up. And my mom she was a big softie, especially for animals. And by the time she got around to asking my dad if we could adopt this dog, he said, I thought we already had. So that was my dog growing up. Yeah. That was my dog growing up. And when I wanted to get involved in 4-H, I had friends in with cattle and sheep and stuff because it was still a very rural area at the time. And my project was my old dog at the time who really kind of put up with me. We did win showmanship at the fair one year. So anyway, that was my 4-H project, but I spent a lot of time in the cattle barns, went to Colorado State University, thought I wanted to be a vet. My brother got all the science nerd genes in the family, which is really unfair because he was also the cool one. And I just don't think that you can be like, I just told him you can't have it all. You can't be the cool one and the genius and the nerd. So um, anyway, I rectified that later in life though. So I got an animal science degree and then got a job with the Limousine Association and had cattle and hay with my first husband at the time, and met him in college, and that's how I got into the cattle business. Started in 4-H hanging around the cattle barns, and then I married into it. So, but I think some things are in your blood, and he really fostered that love of cattle in me, and I will do. My life will include cattle from here on out. So that's a very long story to say
No, not
that
at
cattle
all.
people and cattle business are some of the best people. You mentioned Mark Isley; he's one of my favorite people. He's just a really good guy and a true cattleman
Well,
too.
true cattleman. And all right, I have two things. One is a question and one is a comment. The first one of them is it true? I've seen the T-shirts. I probably lived this as well. It says, "I'm sorry for all the things I said while we were working cattle, but they're true." Would you attest to that as well?
I would attest to that. I also want to ask people when I see that T-shirt or when it's said to me or when I have to say it, especially when I see people wearing it. It's like, um, are you being apologized to or are you apologizing? And I think that it's probably important to acknowledge it's a little bit of both. Um, you know, it's just not always easy to communicate without a little bit of volume in your voice sometimes, without a little bit of shortness in your voice sometimes when there's cattle in, making noise, going through the chutes, maybe doing what you hope they do and want them to do, maybe not. Um, I know that I've muttered things, of course, under my breath a time or two about the people I'm working cattle with that I should probably apologize for, but
You know, I've once heard that Hollywood directors tell you to never work with kids and animals. And what do our parents do? They send the kids out to work with the animals when we're running them through the chute. Two strikes against you. Whatever gets said, people. Well, you started this mess. So other the other question I wanted to ask you was, you mentioned the limousine breed, Kate.
yes.
There's folks listening today that maybe haven't heard of that. We're very familiar with Angus or Herefords or Semitals. What are some of those characteristics of the Limmy herd, or do you have a little bit of background about that herd, how it got to the U.S. that we could share with folks?
You know what? I do because we would get a lot of calls at the Limmy office in Colorado when I was there, especially around prom time, asking if they could book a limo. Um, sure, but it's not going to be what you think. So, so we got really good at the
Awesome.
yeah, we got really good at the elevator speech. So limousine or Limmy cattle, as a lot of people will shorten it to. It originated in the Limoges area of France, hence the name.
Okay.
So they
Okay.
came over. They were originally a red breed, red and horned, very big frame, very big muscle. And, as genetics tend to do, and as people use genetics and realize that you can breed, just about anything that you want to achieve, over the course of the years, there are red limmies, there are black limmies. Now, there, of course, like everything else, is a hybrid composite breed with called Limflex, which is the Limousine Angus or Red Angus cross. Um, I think limmies have a lot of muscle. They've been working on since the time I've left. They have a lot of muscle. They had a program that was really taking advantage of that muscle because it was also very lean. They maybe didn't have some of the quality grade that some of the other breeds did. So they've been working on that, and the hybrid with the Angus and Red Angus has certainly helped that. But lean muscle, a lot of muscle. We used Limflex bulls on our cows and really had nice heavy calves. When you sell pounds, you got to make pounds. So um, that's sort of my short elevator speech on where they came from and what they do. I know that you just saw at South Dakota Cattlemen's Association Warren Simmons, who is the president of South Dakota Cattlemen's Association, and Simmons Brothers is a big Limmy operation in Amherst, South Dakota. And I've known that family for years and years and years. In fact, they were just over the years, I spent 16 years at that breed association, and they were just always so kind to me and really have become like family. And it's been really fun to see Warren go on and do the things that he's doing now in leadership roles within the industry.
You gave the best description. When I've given short overviews, I know that the Limmy is a mostly red hide, comes out of Europe, and it's got great tender meat. Thanks for being better at this than me. I appreciate that.
I've had to answer that question more than once. So now there are red and black lemmies, and they're thanks to genetic mutation. They were able to breed the horn gene out of it. There was a bloodline that had a genetic mutation that took that horn gene right out of there. So while there are still horn bloodlines, of course, like everything else, I'd say you just look at the cattle herd in the U.S. today. Kind
Okay,
of
so if
close,
you're
except
watching our
not the white face.
okay,
Is that
so
really
if
what
you
comes
are
up?
watching well, if you're watching our live stream, Addison, our sound engineer, had messaged me and said, surely a limousine cow is just an absurdly long cow. So I think there might be a
Oh,
little Photoshop magic here. So if you're watching on the live stream, there is like a stretched limo-sized cow with horns that is illustrating what some people might be thinking of when they called for a prom date or for a ride for their prom date. And this was
yep,
not it,
yep.
Kate.
Oh, yeah. Even better. Here's a stretch limo. Here's a stretch one.
That's a stretched limo right there, if I've ever seen one. Folks, this just gives you a little bit of insight into the fun we're going to have on the show today, having Kate as my co-host. Honestly, she has been a mentor to me in media. She's done it far longer,
Oh,
so I'm going to follow her lead today. And we have
that's
with
so
us, and
sweet.
we'll be we have a guest who's going to join us in just a little while. Her name is Megan Myrdal. Megan is with the North Coast State University Foundation, specific to the College of Agriculture. How, why, and what kind of scholarships are going on over at NDSU? Well, Megan's going to help us talk about that. And Kate and I have the honor of being able to help her announce a new scholarship in memorial of one of our farmers here in North Dakota. So we're super excited about that. We're going to visit with Megan just after we get the markets from the Northern Ag Network with Jesse Allen. So stay tuned. Come right back. You don't want to miss out on today's show. Welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. We're still on the road, coming back from Pierre, South Dakota to the South Dakota Cattlemen's Association. And I am fortunate to be joined today as one of my guest co-host friends. That's Kate Maher. Kate's out in Virginia. She's got a much sunnier, brighter, warmer day than the rest of us do over here. And think of it this way,
Warmer,
Kate.
but not much. It was cold. We had a rainy, cold, rainy day yesterday. Got cold. We needed the rain very badly. Now the sun is
Oh,
shining, but I don't know, we're hanging right around we'll be 40s for the day and drop down below freezing at night, but not the bitter cold that you all are having.
now when you said it's been a little dry, have you guys had a dry fall the same way we have over there on the East Coast?
hmm Yes, actually, the summer was dry. We've had a pretty long stretch of too dry. Now, I also have to put a little disclaimer on this because I moved to Virginia from Colorado, where I was born and lived all of my life until 2 years ago. So dry in Virginia and dry in Colorado, it took me a little bit to learn. When somebody's like, "Man, this drought is terrible. We're so dry," and I'm looking around and the grass is green and it's tall, like tallish, and it took me a while to, I had to readjust my focus a little bit to look.
Fair enough.
And see that, yeah, okay, now this grass isn't bouncing back. But the great thing about out here is the grass will bounce back pretty quickly. For a Colorado girl, where we just, pray for each blade of grass to grow that can get, they're out here bush hogging. And so I'm still trying to wrap my head around that term, that, wait, you're mowing your pastures down? You can't do that.
Sure.
It'll never
You
grow
know what you
back.
do if you have You know what you do if you have pastures too high? You buy more cows, Kate. That's how this really works. Okay. And
But it's
all
very
right.
much a management, a pasture and forage management tool out here, and have learned a lot about it. But again, it did take me a while to sort of refocus my eye on what is dry versus not dry. Like, you can't tell me it's dry when it's this green outside.
Well, if you need to change your outlook on things, one can be changing your scenery. Maybe the other one is the fact that I'm going to introduce Kate to something called North Dakota Sweet Crude. It's this really fabulous cinnamon flavored liqueur. And just a heads up for those of you who are looking for a little field trip tonight, North Dakota Sweet Crude is having a tasting event at the Bottle Barn in West Fargo. And then tomorrow, they will be at Cashwise Liquors in West Fargo. So heads up, it's time for the holiday drink mixing. And if you're thinking about a North Dakota hot chocolate, that would be a shot of Sweet Crude and some hot apple cider or hot coffee or hot chocolate. You could do anything you'd like. And then there's one that's called the Auburn Hussy. This makes me laugh every time because you can take a Sweet Crude orange, champagne, and a blackberry and mix that all together. An Auburn Hussy. I wasn't expecting that today, and yet here we are. So,
Here we are. See, there's a new term.
new term. And speaking of, wasn't expecting it, but here we are. Well, I bet that's what our guest, Megan Myrdal with NDSU's Foundation, is thinking. Megan, how are you today?
Hey, good afternoon. I'm doing well. How are you, Kate and Bridgette?
Hey,
Fantastic.
Megan.
Hey.
So, Megan, NDSU Foundation. For those who are listening and don't know what that might be, give us an overview, if you would, please.
Sure. Well, first, thank you so much for having me. Great to be on and talk a little bit about the work we do at the NDSU Foundation. So essentially, we are the philanthropic arm of North Dakota State University. Our mission is to support our land-grant university and make sure that it continues to survive and thrive for decades to come. We work on all aspects of NDSU, and essentially the priorities that we work on are set by the university. So if they tell us they need more support for buildings or faculty or students or some certain programs, we work on those. And we work really closely with our outstanding alumni base. We have over 100,000 North Dakota State University alums across the world. We work with businesses that care about NDSU and want to see great talent come out of the university. And then just a variety of different other stakeholders who care and want to support NDSU.
Oh, I'm all about that care and support. I mean, I know Kate went to Colorado State, but I'm sort of a born and bred Bison, and I have no problem talking about all these things.
And we love that,
You
and
know,
we love our proud
anybody can get
alumni that want to share the good word of NDSU.
And
Go ahead, Kate.
anybody from any school can certainly get behind the mission that you just described. So, especially
And
from a good old ag
especially,
college, I mean, especially from land grant ag university. Heck yeah.
that's exactly what I was going to say. Both of us coming from land grants, that makes a huge difference. And Megan, are you familiar with the land grant university system and why we're a part of that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so North Dakota State University is North Dakota's land grant college. We have a threefold mission at NDSU. One part that people understand really well is the education that we provide on our campus in Fargo. But of course, we also have our agriculture experiment stations and our extension service. We have 7 experiment stations across the state of North Dakota that are conducting valuable research that is directly supporting the producers in that area. So we know that growing crops in southeast North Dakota is quite different than raising crops in northwest North Dakota. So we have people that are on the ground in those communities doing that research. And then we have county extension offices in every county in North Dakota that have educators there that are taking the research that is done at NDSU and bringing those programs out into communities. So it isn't something that just stays contained in the walls of our Fargo campus. It's something that's extended into every aspect of North Dakota.
Now, Megan, you work specifically with College of Ag, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
All right. What types of things are you looking for? Are you always looking for monetary donations for scholarships? Are there other things that families can do as well? And when we come back from our bottom of the hour news, I want to talk about some specific scholarships, but give us a little general background on some of the things that folks can offer up to be a part of the foundation and what they can do for future students.
Thank you so much for that question. Yeah, so my role in the role with the College of Agriculture is I work in development, which is essentially fundraising for the priorities that support the College of Agriculture, food systems, and natural resources. I think one that is so common that people think of is scholarship, and that is a huge part of the work that we do. We know that students need and want financial support for higher education. One, to be able to make the dream of college affordable. 2, so they don't have to come out with a tremendous amount of debt. We know NDSU remains very cost competitive in terms of tuition, but we know that's not everything that a student incurs when they come to study at NDSU. There's room, there's board, there's all sorts of costs that they have to incur to have an academic pursuit. So we want to provide as much financial support as we can for students so they have the ability to maintain focus and attention to their education. But beyond that, what we really talk about in the work we do with our donors is we do what we call donor-centric philanthropy. So we really try to listen to the people who want to support NDSU and listen to what they're telling us that they want to do. Do they want to help support an awesome faculty member who's conducting research that they really believe in? We have an example in the College of Agriculture, a gentleman named Barney Geddes, who is working on transferring the nitrogen fixation of a property that naturally exists in legumes. How can that be transferred into cereal crops? And we had a donor that just found that research fascinating and is so inspired by what he's doing. He created a fellowship to provide Barney extra resources to buy equipment and support more graduate students so that research can accelerate. We've been very lucky at NDSU that our North Dakota legislature has allocated wonderful dollars that are building some amazing agriculture facilities, but oftentimes that state money comes with a requirement to raise a certain amount. So we have had awesome donors that say, we know the value of brick and mortar. We know we need labs and classrooms and auditoriums and all of those things for the university to be successful. So they make investments in those spaces. And then there are so many other ways that they can support our athletic facilities, our clubs and organizations where they might be enriching those opportunities for students, funding professional development so students can travel to conferences and present their research, to network. The sky is really the limit, and I feel like I'm just dipping into the bucket of ways that people can support NDSU and how we help people achieve their goals in terms of what they want to see.
Megan, I sense folks are only limited by their creativity. And to that end, we are going to tap into some of that, especially some of the scholarships, and one new one in particular when we return from a news break. Let's do that. And then additionally, We want to continue to focus on what's going on at the NDSU Foundation. A brand new scholarship is going to be up for grabs and so much more. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus, where it's nothing but fun. Dean's gone, so let the good times begin with one of our fill-in guest hosts today. That's Kate Maher. She's joining me from Virginia to be a part of today's discussion with Megan Myrdal. Megan is with North Dakota State University Foundation, and specifically we want to talk about some scholarships today. So, Kate, you and I had a little conversation in the background, and I know you were going to ask Megan a couple of questions today.
Yeah, I had a few. Talking about a scholarship kind of put some thoughts in my head, and um, I get asked a lot of times by students or young professionals, even in grad school still, or I've spoken to some high school groups, and you know, I guess that's really nice. I'm trying to make it sound like a really nice way to say that I am an aged individual who has been around for a while. But one of my best pieces of advice, wise, I'm sorry, not aged, wise, is that scholarships are not only a great financial tool, they are a really good networking tool as well, because you are putting your name, um, eh, into consideration with for specific purposes, especially people give money for ag scholarships. If there's scholarships available just through the College of Ag or specific ones, you're not only applying for financial aid to continue to pursue your passion that these scholarships can be set up for. You're really putting yourself out there too, with your interest in the industry. So I would just always say that apply for scholarships. There's always some out there. Some are not well known, so you have some pretty good chances of getting some money. I've judged scholarship competitions before. Um, they're a really good networking tool as well to get to know people within the industry, especially if they're industry specific scholarships. Um, it's always been my experience as well that if a scholarship is set up, for a specific purpose, I mean, they can be. I've seen scholarships as general as sort of overall agriculture to I want to study how to feed cattle. I want to study veterinary sciences. I want to study, um, ag marketing. There's all kinds of scholarships available. Please pursue those passions. Please take advantage of those. People set aside money and they want it to be used, especially ones that are set up to honor people. There's a lot of scholarships that are going to honor people too. Um, so Megan, I guess my question really is, I want to know more about this scholarship so that when people come and say, what can we do? I want to say, apply for the scholarship and I want to learn more about it.
Well, I completely agree with everything that you just said. There are scholarships are one piece, but students that really just maximize all the opportunities that they have as a
Yes.
student to professionally network through their clubs, through their organizations. We have something at NDSU called Bison Ambassadors, where they serve in so many different capacities, where they connect with alumni and industries that are deeply connected to NDSU. And exactly like you said, those scholarships that certain aspects of the agriculture industry will create to support students. So often those students get a chance to meet those people, and they're meeting people who are in a decision making capacity that could hire them for a
Mm-hmm.
job or an internship in the future. So not only are you getting money to support you in your academics, but you might also be getting a future job. So I couldn't agree more with that, and I'm so glad that you're out telling young people about that when you speak to them. Today, I'm super excited that we are announcing a brand new scholarship at NDSU. So, we have the opportunity to work with people who want to create a scholarship for a variety of different reasons. And the one I'm sharing today is a family and a group of friends that created a scholarship in memory of a farmer from Leeds, North Dakota, named Doug Dolmage. And many might be familiar with that name because it was a really tragic farm accident that happened in 2022 that resulted in the loss of his life. And I have had the privilege of working with those family and friends who wanted to provide some good in a really tragic situation. And from everything they shared about Doug, he was a person that loved agriculture, loved farming, loved NDSU, and he loved his community. He supported the community and the people in it in so many ways. It sounded like he was a person where if someone wanted help, he was there in a second to provide that for them. So we created the Doug Dolmage Memorial Scholarship Endowment at NDSU. And it is to support students from Benson, Towner, and Ramsey counties, which is basically the Devil's Lake Basin. Leeds, Can Do, Devil's Lake, Maddock, schools in that area. Students that graduate from those schools and decide to pursue an agriculture degree at NDSU, they get a 4-year renewable scholarship through the Doug Dolmage Memorial Scholarship if they receive this award. And that's something that's really unique about this scholarship. We have a lot of awards that a student will get for their first year, but it's not something that supports them through their entire academic career. This is a renewable scholarship. So as long as they stay in good academic standing and they stay enrolled in the College of Agriculture, they will get support to graduate from NDSU with a degree in agriculture. So we are just so grateful that the family decided to honor his legacy at NDSU, and are really hoping that a lot of students see this and decide that if NDSU is in consideration, that maybe this will just be that little extra push that they need to apply and hopefully get that additional financial support to join us at NDSU.
Okay, Megan, I got to tell you, this is fantastic. As someone who was looking for scholarships when it was time for me to go to college, to find one that could support you through your whole college career is tremendous. I can't say a big enough thank you to the Dolmage family. I also know they were very large FFA supporters, Doug in particular. I can imagine that your conversations with this family have been nothing but bright and exciting in order to honor his memory.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a family legacy there of agriculture, of NDSU. And like you said, the way that they have supported so many aspects of their community and agriculture as a whole, it just, in visiting with them, it just seemed that this was so natural to do this because they just have a philosophy of giving back and supporting others.
Ladies, I want to ask this to both Kate and Megan. When it comes to scholarship applications, if there was something, maybe it's one or two things that really stand out, because you've both helped to judge them for a variety of organizations and reasons, is there a piece of advice that you want to give college students to really help? And I'll ask Kate to answer that first.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to just thank Megan and the Dolmage family, who, obviously I'm very far removed from, but I got goosebumps just listening to your announcement of this scholarship, Megan, to be very specific to counties, which means he's very, this family is very community minded, and to give those students a chance, and that renewable scholarship just sent chills up my spine. I think for me, the most important thing to do is, if there's a component, let yourself shine. If there's a way to let yourself shine through on those scholarship applications, do so. Be genuine. If your passion is agriculture, let that shine. It will be seen. I'm always impressed. Good grades indicate hard work, and to me, and I think work ethic is very important. But you know what? If you want to study it and you want to be involved, just be genuine about why. For someone coming not from a cattle background and getting into the cattle industry, you can have passion for something that you didn't grow up in. Again, be very genuine and just let that passion and your genuine self show through on those scholarship applications.
Megan, anything you can think of that you want to make sure to add to that as well?
Actually, I don't serve on the selection committee, so we are removed from that process. But I will just say, for students' awareness, at North Dakota State University, we have a universal application system for all of our NDSU scholarships. So I just want to encourage students, if you're attending North Dakota State University, make sure you put yourself in the pool for consideration, because that system will automatically make you eligible for the scholarships that are designated towards you. So Kate, like you shared, this one is for students who graduate from a school in Bensontown or Ramsey counties. If that is something that you are eligible for, this system will put you into that pool. And then also, there are many scholarships that are outside of our NDSU pool. So I've talked to students who they talk about it as being a part-time job applying for scholarships, because if they are aggressive and they are putting in the work and they are searching out those scholarships, they can identify a lot of funding sources to support them if they put in the work and they fill out the application. So students, it's worth the time. And then if you get a scholarship, thank the person who gave it to you. That is so essential. So essential.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I guess the real big best piece of advice is fill out the application. I mean, you can't get a scholarship without actually just filling the application out. And maybe it is a part-time job, but it'll have financial benefit. Again, remember, it's a good networking tool as well.
Okay, so ladies, I'm going to give a little plug here just for something we're doing at the station, and I would love your opinion, and I think I'll be able to see it in your faces on the live stream as to what you think of this. And we're creating a assistant ag director for me at WDAY. What that means is I have students filling out an application. So once a month, I don't need the same kid 12 times in a year. I need a student each month to spend part of a day with me, and I'll be flexible on your day off from school or whatever, where you come in, you work with me to help set up the headlines that we're going to talk about for the day. They would sit in, just like Kate's doing as a guest host, to help interview a guest like Megan and to help us record some promos while they're in studio. If you are thinking about ag communications, if you are thinking about journalism, you want to test the waters of media, is this a good thing for a college application? What do you think, Megan?
Big thumbs up, 100%.
Yeah, big double
Kate, would
thumbs up. Yeah, I mean, the way I got my job at the Breed Association I was talking about was sort of this. Sometimes you just have to show up, and things will be presented. Opportunities will be presented. So apply for this. Just be there because you're going to have an opportunity someday in that month with Bridgette that you're not going to get anywhere else, and that's going to be great professional development.
I am so excited to have students sending in their applications, so keep them coming. It's been wonderful. And speaking of wonderful, Megan, it's been so great to talk to you today. Thanks for joining us. How do people find you, the foundation, the scholarships? You mentioned a general application. Just run through that one more time, please.
Absolutely. So you can visit the ndsUfoundation.com. All of my contact information is on there. And then if you visit the College of Agriculture, Food Systems, and Natural Resources, there is a scholarship section on there that has access to hundreds of scholarships that have been created to support students in the College of Agriculture, as well as this one related to Doug Dolmage. And this scholarship, since it's available to freshmen, is awarded through our Department of Admissions. So they can contact their local admissions rep and they will be able to get them all the details about this scholarship.
This has been such a fun conversation, ladies. I'm so excited to announce this, and also a huge thank you to the Dolmage family for what they are doing for students in the future. Now, for everybody listening, don't go anywhere. Kate and I aren't done yet. We thank Megan for joining us, but we'll all be back right after this. Welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us, and a huge thank you to my fill-in guest co-host today, and that's Kate Maher. She's a great friend of mine. And also, I just wanted you to know that when you gave a shout-out to Simmons Brothers Limousine down in South Dakota, they were listening. So Lauren already said thanks for the shout-out, Kate.
Good people, great. I'm going to say, let me take that back. Great people, great cattle.
Well, speaking of great people, Kate is one of those great people that I work with on some side projects. One of them is something that we do at the National Cattlemen's CattleCon. And Kate, do you want to explain the back porch? I've talked about it before, but I'd love for you to give a little description of what we do.
Sure. And I'm even going to go back a little further, Bridgette, to kind of how this all came about. So Bridgette and I met at the NCBA summer business meeting in Reno, Nevada, 3 years ago. 2 years ago?
Yes.
3 years, 3, 4.
I think it was 3.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And just was so great meeting her. It was sort of like meeting a friend that I had. It was like meeting a lifelong friend that I had just met. And it was just a good soul, had the best time. So anyway, in the whole courses of our conversations, during the summer business meeting, after the summer business meeting, one thing that became very evident to both of us is that we both have a lot of personal connections to this soul, to helping rural communities, to especially helping people in rural communities, especially when it comes to some mental health resources and issues. My first husband, I'll just be really honest with people. The reason it's important to me is my first husband, I should say first late husband. We had been divorced. I don't want to mislead anybody, but he was still very close to me. We were friends. He was important to me. I loved him. He took his own life. There are too many cases like that in rural America. And it's time to change the narrative, so that we do not lose any more people that are working so hard day in and day out in agriculture. So anyway, Bridgette and I developed this idea. We came up with this idea to have a booth at CattleCon during the trade show, where there's thousands of people that walk through every year, to start exposing some resources, to start putting some resources in their hands. We developed what we called the back porch. Come sit on our back porch if you just need a place to breathe, if you just need a hug, if you need to talk about things. Come sit on that back porch. It's a safe space for you to talk about things. The first year, honestly, I think, Bridgette, is it fair to say that we kind of threw it together kind of last minute as we developed this? But I think that we had some really good results, and I would really love if you would talk about some of the experiences from that first year, because we built on that.
We did, and we had producers from all over the U.S. who wanted to stop and ask the question of, what can I take back to my community? We are seeing an incredible increase in stress and anxiety. We're concerned about folks who are carrying that load on their own, and that they feel that they have no other alternatives besides suicide. So we were quick to hand them anything we could and put them in contact with others who were certainly professionals in the area. Kate and I aren't professionals. We're just the conduit to get the resources to the right place. And I will never forget visiting with a producer from Missouri who stopped the first year to talk about his son and the depression that his son was in, and the fear of losing what they had built as a farm over many years because of what was happening with his son. And the second year we did it, the same producer stopped back. He said, I really appreciate what you gave me, and we've made a little headway, but we have a long way to go. And so when you can continue to be a part of someone's life to just try to get them to the right place and to be helpful, that matters. And so Kate and I have made this our own mission to provide others with the resources. Again, we're not the professionals, but we want to help you do that. And Kate, we've seen some positive results, and we are happy to give those resources and ideas to others whenever we can. That's a big part of what we do every day.
Yep, it is. And, we are not professionals, and you know what? You do not have to be a professional to help. In fact, I was thinking today about, Christmas lists, and it is it's a hectic season. It's a hectic time of year. I'm going to make people's Christmas shopping really simple. As I get older, for years now, I don't want things. I want time. I want time with the people that I care about in my life, even if it's a 10-minute conversation. Instead of going to buy gifts, stop by and see a neighbor. Ask somebody that you see in town how they're really doing. Um, really let them know that you're there to listen. If they need help, just a simple, give them a hug. There you go. That's the best Christmas gift that anybody could give me, is a hug.
Kate,
I
that's
think we're being,
awesome. And
yeah,
we're being shoved out the door. The Jay Thomas
yeah,
show
we're being
coming up
showed
next.
off.
But Kate, thanks for joining me today. You are one of my best friends and assets in this industry. Thank
Oh,
you.
love you so
All
much,
right,
Bridgette.
kids.
Thank you for always making this fun.
Every single time. All right, stay tuned for Jay Thomas. See you all tomorrow.